Welcome to the Sacred Anatomy Academy and to this special offering, Medicine Bag Q&A, our free introduction to the 14-module class, Medicine Bag Training, a new perspective on healing and ritual based on the sacred anatomy for those who have completed the Energetic Hygiene series. Medicine Bag Training is an initiation for the contemporary shaman with Sacred Anatomy Energy Medicine founder, Desda Zuckerman. When Desda was a teenager in the mid-1960s, there were no schools or teachers to show her about subtle anatomy or the energy or how to work with it. She was forced by circumstances to develop techniques and practices to be healthy and understand what she was seeing. And this was all simply to learn how to be in the world as a sensitive person. So at this point in time, I'm going to introduce Desda, but first I'll ask you to turn off your cell phones to lessen distractions and introduce Desda to you. Desda was born a clairvoyant with a sensate awareness that made subtle energy as real for her as concrete. Her study of the swirling energies she sees and feels around everything led her to over 30 years of study and analysis, and then to found the discipline Sacred Anatomy Energy Medicine. This intentional healing modality is also a philosophy, and it's based in the subtle anatomy and the extra physiology of the human energy structure. In the 1990s, she compiled years of drawings and writings and created the Sacred Anatomy map of the human energy structure. And Desda is now recognized as the cartographer of the most extensive and thorough understanding of the subtle structure available today. This anatomy is documented in her encyclopedic book, Your Sacred Anatomy, an owner's guide to the human energy structure, and it was published in 2012. The information she will share today will open the doors to you of the more sophisticated tools using the Sacred Anatomy teachings. Practices taught during the 3 months of this class will be filled with powerful instruction in Sacred Anatomy energy medicine clearings, procedures, and healing techniques. You will develop a true medicine bag to use during your own one-on-one sessions with your classmates, your family, and your friends. By the end of this course, you will be a certified medicine bag carrier, able to confidently engage in a professional session that reveals your client's truest nature and creates a container for transformation. Welcome to this groundbreaking and revolutionary work. And let's offer a warm-hearted welcome for Desda Zuckerman, the founder of Sacred Anatomy Energy Medicine. Welcome, Desda.
Thanks, Cheryl. Thank you for that nice introduction. Hi, everybody. Hello. It's so nice to see your shining faces. Lovely to see you here today, and thank you for joining me. I'm really interested in hearing your questions, so there will be lots of Q&A time, and I want you to know that in advance. So if you've got a question and we're not right at a Q&A moment, write it down or put it in the chat, and we'll be sure to answer it. Welcome to the curiosity-seeking moment around medicine bag. And a Sacred Anatomy Energy Medicine Bag requires an open field to work in. And so we're going to do that right now. So let's all take a deep breath together. And we're going to open the energetic field that we're holding, just this group of people. We're going to open it, and then we're going to ask the Sacred Anatomy angels to support us, because we have a whole bunch of angels that work with us. And we're just going to relax into this open, really beautiful, safe, and warm container. Thank you for doing that with me. So my intention today is to make this understandable and to help you come to whatever question you have about what this course might be about that is relevant, important, and germane for you. So I want to support you in asking the great question that's been sitting at the back of your head. The history of medicine bag is kind of interesting. So the first time that I taught it was a year after I wrote Your Sacred Anatomy, An Owner's Guide to the Human Energy Structure, which is the book that kind of got me on the map, had me noticed worldwide. And I've sold now thousands of copies, which is kind of amazing to me, considering that I've never placed an ad anywhere. And they just seem to go off the Amazon shelves, which is, that in itself is amazing. So I guess when I started it, what I wanted to do, what I developed this class for, was to give people who are really curious about how to work with the sacred anatomy, who are already practitioners of some form of energy medicine, how to do it and give them enough pieces, enough information where they could have a really interesting kind of shamanic introduction to the sacred anatomy, energy medicine curricula. Now, the practitioner training is basically a 2-year process in it, 4 different levels, and it takes a longer time. But this is like the beginning of the practitioner track. So it's at the very front, because I want people who don't want to become practitioners to have access to some of these tools. And so that's what this is about. There are 2 prerequisites for this class. You need to have taken the EDGE class and energetic hygiene. And the reason you need the EDGE class is because everybody that studies with me learns that first, and then we are able to hold the subtle anatomy in relationship to the physical body in a higher dimensional reality. We're able to hold that so that you and I can talk to each other kind of on the same plane and in the same way. It's pretty difficult for people who haven't learned the EDGE to really understand completely what the offering is that I'm making. The second class, which is called Energetic Hygiene, is the next prerequisite. And both of these classes will be offered this year and actually coming up pretty soon. Excuse me. So, how did I get started with this idea? Well, my own training was pretty shamanic in that I stumbled across things and I learned things from nature. I learned things from what I saw, what I sensed, what I felt, and what I sort of remembered and knew from somewhere, which I couldn't necessarily identify when I was younger. And I come from a long line of women who are psychics. So we can trace our psychic line back to 1500 years before the birth of Jesus. So it's a very old Celtic shamanic line. But in the process of that line of people growing and developing, there was a lot of intermarrying, and we became connected to other cultures, and I learned things from other cultures. But my grandmother and my mother and my great-grandmother started teaching me about the ancient wisdom when I was really little, like 4 or 5 years old. So I started to learn this stuff really early. And it just was part of my life, and I didn't really think anything of it until I was 14 years old, and I flew out of a car and landed on my head. And when I opened my eyes, my visual capacity had expanded hugely. So I went from being a person who could see these really delicate, light, pale auras around everything to being a person who saw vivid, like almost day glow intense colors around everything and everyone. So at that point, I had to actually learn to see again, because that energy stuff didn't go away, and it was dense. It was very dense, and I had trouble seeing faces. So we took me to the doctor. Nothing was wrong with me. So we did this, we did that, we did all kinds of things. Nothing was wrong with me. And my mother said, "You'll just have to get over it yourself." And so I began to try to figure out how I could dissect what I was seeing, parse it, pull it apart, and look at it more carefully. Now, here's the thing. In Medicine Bag, what you're going to learn is not really how I did that, but the benefit of me doing that. Because you're going to learn things like venting trauma and pain. And this is a procedure that is super powerful and allows you to release from the sacred anatomy, which is what I realized after a long time of trying to figure it out, was what I was seeing. And so I teach you in MedBag how to actually vent toxin, pain, struggle, stress, holding, and emotional issues out of your subtle anatomy, which also includes your physical body, because there's only one body, I discovered. There's not a whole bunch of bodies. There's one body, and it includes everything. So in Sacred Anatomy Energy Medicine, what we do is we approach the subtle structure as a holistic part of the physical structure. So when there's a physical problem, we can see it in the subtle anatomy. And I have figured out how to teach people who can't see how to feel it, how to know it, how to sense it, how to tune into it. This has been a life's work, and we're talking 50 years. This has been like, I've been in the coal mines for 50 years trying to figure this stuff out. And what I'm sharing with you is venting trauma and pain. I'm also sharing with you how to vent and release what are called death weapons. Now, this is something you might be interested in, because if you have a persistent pain somewhere in your body that's just always there and you don't know how you even got it, you may actually have a death weapon. How did I discover death weapons? I saw them. I saw hatchets in people's heads. I saw spears stuck in people's backs. And I remember I didn't really do anything with any of it, because it was just like, well, I guess everybody has those. I guess it's some kind of memory. But when I was in the UK, and I think it was 2000, my experience there led me to a gentleman who came in with agonizing pain in his back. And he said, this is just always here. It just hurts and hurts and hurts. And I've never hurt my back, and I'm very careful. And I put heating pads on it. I take medication. I can't get rid of this pain. And I said, well, there's no small wonder you have a pain there. You have a spear in your back. He was like, well, I'd believe it, because I've been in pain for so long. And so I had the guy lay down on the floor. We didn't have a table then. He laid down on the floor in this living room, and I did this removal by like standing over him, holding on to the spear and pulling it out of his body. And when I did that, he went, oh! I thought, did it work? Did I help him? And sure enough, it did. It helped him. And so now I teach you guys how to remove death weapons. So there's like a ton of them. Everybody's got a bunch of them. And we do that in this class. It's really fun, actually. It's a lot of fun. So we remove the death, because you get out of pain, for one thing. And the other thing is, it's just weird. Which is one of the funnest parts. we enjoy the weird. So we're removing death weapons, we're preventing trauma and pain, but we're also learning how to work with the 12 radiant points and soothe them. Okay, so what the heck is that? The 12 radiant points are located in the template. Cheryl, can you show the template slide? I want to show you what the template looks like. Here's the template. So the template is the nervous system of the sacred anatomy. And this is a very ordered picture. Most people are very disorganized looking, and their lines aren't straight like that. They look more like a blackberry bramble, if you've ever seen one of those, just all mushy and all wildly mixed up. But the cool thing is that there's these 12 points, and you can see some of them indicated in purple, these points that are indicated. So each one of those points has a special significance. Each one of them does something specific, and it's all related to karma, different types of karma. And this is like an activation place where karma is pulled out of the historical site in the structure, sort of where you have your own little record keeping area. And we pull out of that, it goes into the radiant point, and sometimes people have these lives that are just like one trauma after another, one disaster after another. You know, they've encountered all kinds of stuff, and it's just so much, so fast, that we look at the point that's heavily activated and maybe over amping, and we've learned how to soothe the point. And that's what I teach in this class. So you can see that this class is chock-a-block with interesting things that you're going to learn. Here's some other stuff we're going to do. The electromagnetic field. Let's see a picture of that. The electromagnetic field suite I teach in Medicine Bag. And here's the electromagnetic field. Now, we all are concerned about how much damage all the electromagnetics of our planet are doing to human structures. And some of us are aware that they do impact us, and all of us use the electromagnetic field when we get an EKG or an EEG, and these tests actually tap into your own electromagnetic field and help diagnose issues with the heart and the brain. So it's really interesting to start studying the electromagnetic field in relationship to the sacred anatomy, because they're two different things. The electromagnetic field is a different energy. It's made of electromagnetic energy. And you know, so is your physical body. So your electromagnetic field and your physical body are made of electromagnetic energy, and the subtle structure is made of subtle energy. So we work with these two different energies. And yes, you may not have heard of subtle energy, but I've been talking about it for like 30 years now. And I'll tell you, one of the things that's interesting is scientists are now starting to talk about this. So I'm feeling very vindicated. I'm feeling very acknowledged that scientists are actually thinking about the thing that I've been working with and saying there's a fifth quantum energy for a long time. So the quantum energies are important because we do work with them. So electromagnetic and subtle energy are the two quantum energies we work with. And that's the fifth one, the extra one. Most people know of electromagnetic, gravity, strong and weak force. And those are the black holes and all of that. And that's what people generally accept in the quantum world. But now there's a potential fifth energy, and I've even heard there's a sixth one they're kicking around. So there's been an awful lot of interest in the additional energies. Subtle energy is the energy of consciousness. So we are working with that when we work in MedBag. So I'm going to stop right now and just let whoever has a question ask a question. And then I'm going to jump into some more features of this class. We'll talk a little bit about how we're going to use stone arrays and crystals. And also, I'll just tell you a little bit more about the medicine bag itself that you will develop. All right, ask away. I want to hear what you're interested in knowing about. Even if you don't have a particularly formulated question, just go right ahead. Put your hand up and we'll take yourself off mute. Ridza.
So I have a couple, but I'll start with one. You talked about different type of karma. I always heard of karma as one thing, but now you said it's many things. So could you clarify what is that?
Yes. Karma means action or act. So there are lots of different kinds of acts of karma. Let me just open up here. So there's, relational karma. There's karma that has to do with fulfilling and walking your path. There's karma about following your bliss, your pathway, your calling. There's karma about receiving support, allowing yourself to be part or to join a community or part of a family or a group. So that's a kind of karma. And then there's a different kind of karma about holding steady on your course and being guided by the inner voice, listening. These are karma are actions where you have denied and turned away from that which is divine within you. And so these are all ways that people do that. The ability to recover and grow is a type of karma. Strength of character, devotion to spirit is a kind of karma. Standing your ground, reaching out and beyond your limits and sticking to your soul's path. So those are some of the types of karma that we deal with. And they have locations in the sacred anatomy that are, interestingly enough, spinning, swirling points. And in some systems, they're even called chakras. They are not chakras. They are radiant points, and they have to do with karma and the intensity of karma. You said you had another question, Ridza.
Thank you for the answer. That's pretty clear. Another one would be venting trauma. Sometimes we hear the trauma is something, you need to work on. There's a different therapies out there, psychotherapy and etc.
Yes.
Now in this approach, I know in the sacred anatomy, energy medicine, there's a kind of collaboration between the person and the healer. But
yes.
What is the part of the healer and the healee, if I might say? Is it like remove and then you're good to go and you don't have trauma? Or so how does that work?
Well, this is how it works. First of all, we do a little processing, but frankly, we do very little processing. So processing is when you talk about the issue and you feel into the feelings and you regurgitate your experience and you go through it all. And it takes a really long time. Healing that way takes a long time. Now, even though I've done some of that kind of work myself, I'm not interested in that because it just takes too darn long. And I'm interested about doing the service work that I need to do in this planet. And everybody should be at that place right now because we need everybody to pull it together here, human species. So what we've got when we release with a practitioner, we vent trauma, is we place a vent into the point of trauma, which is like, okay, here's an example. So, somebody was in a car accident and their eyes were pulled to the left and they saw a mother hitting her child. And they were just horrified by this act of violence and they slammed into another car. Okay? So the trauma wasn't hitting the car. The trauma was looking at the mother hitting the child. And that was where the trauma lodged, was in the eyes, even though they had, sore hips and a little bit of a whiplash. And so medically, their trauma would have been neck, back, right? But that wasn't where the trauma was really located. So when we vented the trauma out of the structure, the client was breathing and releasing and not talking about their experience unless they felt like they needed to. I mean, if people feel like they need to talk, we don't stop them. We don't put a cork in their mouth, but we don't say, please open up and talk about your trauma. We just go for the release. And as this trauma is releasing, here's what happens, Ritza. The pain gets less. The pain reduces. So when we're finished, we use the dowsing rod to do this. This is why you guys need to take energetic hygiene and learn how to dowse. So we go from that to filling the vent and sealing it. It's over. The wire has told us it's done, and we sense it's finished. The client may still be upset about what the mother did, but they won't be activated by it. They won't be charged by it. And then we'll go to venting the pain. And when we vent the pain, that's when the pain itself releases. So that's where we would vent into the neck and the back. We would vent into the places, the pain points, and then we would release that. And it's not a matter of, I'm saying we would release that, not me, not the practitioner, but the client and the practitioner working synergistically together release the issue. So the job of a practitioner and a med bag carrier would be to facilitate, to facilitate. And we have a certain toolbox. So we bring the toolbox and we share the toolbox, and the client is the one who does the release. The client has to really agree to the release. Permission is an extremely important part of this work. And that is something that we do talk about in Medicine Bag. One of the things I talk about in Medicine Bag is energetic ethics. Something I don't think is talked about enough in the New Age healer world. It's just, it's like, oh, if you can help somebody, well, then let's all bring in energy for the president, or let's all, release trauma from the victims of some crash. You actually don't get to do that. It's wrong. It's a breach of ethic. So there are lots and lots of topics that we cover. We have in-depth conversations, and everybody gets to talk about what they think. And I find that there's a lot of bad instruction that I end up unraveling a little bit here and there. So anyway, go ahead. You have any more questions, Ritza, or was that it?
I'll be fine for now. Well, I'm curious about the lineage of the rainbow light, but it's more generic.
Yes, and I haven't even talked about that. So one of the things you learn in Medicine Bag that is probably the most wonderful thing I think I teach is the rainbow lights. And the rainbow lights is a deep initiatory meditation that is performed by everybody in the class. And we focus on bringing in these beautiful lights. So I teach you how to do that. I teach you why and what those lights are doing. So that's covered in the class. But the lineage of the rainbow lights is, I'm the lineage holder of the rainbow lights, which is a really beautiful, powerful, energetic work that was passed to me from Dr. Gail Pierce, who was an early inspiration for me in the 1970s, in the early 70s. And she was really the first person to see my abilities as a healer, which was pretty exciting to have her notice that and help me. And now here, all these years later, I carry this lineage. And so the initiation that you receive is just this really deep, powerful spiritual experience. And you learn a skill while you're at it, and you learn how to do that with others. We also do the 4 aspects meditation in this class, where you learn to touch into and work with the 4 aspects of your authentic self. Your authentic self, not your personality self. They're 2 different things, in case you didn't know. Anyway, Are there any other questions from any other people? Thanks, Ritza. You got us started really well. My goodness, no questions. VB, is that a question hand that went up? No, she says. Anybody else? Aha! My friend John, go ahead.
This may be much more superficial, but in talking about your human electromagnetic, I'm being told that a PEMF mat is very good to use. I mean, that may be, like I said, superficial for this conversation, but is that it's supposed to activate all your mitochondrial in your cells? Is that
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that I know use things like there's the Beamer and there's all these different mats that people lie on, and they're supposedly helping your mitochondria rejuvenate, and they're helping your cell walls, become stronger and all these things. My experience is that you can get there without having to buy a $5,000 mat, that you can get there studying this work. However, if you really, if money isn't a big deal and you want to just get one to have an experience with it, it wouldn't hurt you. It wouldn't hurt you.
I wasn't thinking in terms of a replacement for, but maybe, A, it couldn't hurt, and B, but maybe it can. I don't know.
Sometimes things like that can hurt. I know Cheryl's a Beamer user, and she's been a Beamer user for years, and it's very compatible with this work. So those kinds of machines, those things are. Now, they're not all compatible. Like, for example, the Q-Link is a piece of jewelry that people buy, spend a lot of money on, and it's supposed to fix your electromagnetic field. It does not. It scrambles your electromagnetic field, makes you look strange. So I'm not a big proponent of a lot of these outside your control things that other people make and then you put on. So what I teach you when we interact with the electromagnetic field in this class is I teach you how to rebuild your electromagnetic field, how to protect it from radiation, how to take care of yourself, how to pull in your electromagnetic field so it's not going all over the place. I've had people come to me who are sticking their electromagnetic field into light fixtures, who are downloading and pulling into their electromagnetic fields electrical frequencies from power stations. They are sick. I mean, physically ill. So one of the things I teach them is how not to do that. So I have a lot of information that I share in this class about electromagnetics and how to work with them. So I'm not those kind of mats are not my thing. Somebody gave me one once, so I have one, but I don't use it. Anyway, but Cheryl uses it and she likes the Beamer.
I don't even know what a Beamer is, but
It's like the PEMF mat. It's similar.
Pulsed electromagnetic field therapy. That's what the P stands for.
okay.
Yeah. So thank you for asking that question. I'm sure people have a lot of questions about, like, is my $1,200 machine that I bought that's supposed to balance the electromagnetics in my house working? And my answer is not well. I'm not a fan of all this stuff. Gidgets and gadgets are not for me. So what I've done is I've learned how to use the structure, and that's what I'm going to teach you. So you're more autonomous, independent. Hey, Melanie, it's nice to see you. It's been a long time. Yeah. And Nancy Solomon, I see you're here. It's good to see you. Rita, hi, girl. Anyway, are there any other questions? Ridza, go for it.
Sorry again, but on the subject of the EMF, you gave a class about 5 years ago, EMF solutions. So the
Yep.
part of the training, med-back training that is related to EMF, how would it be different or similar? I guess
It's much better. This class is better. And it, for one thing, it's in the temple. In other words, people have to have criteria to get in the class, so it's at a higher level. That class was a very like beginning level, like here's something anybody could do who's never had any training. And EMF Solutions was a shift network class, and so it had to have the shift network complex, which I did a couple of shift classes, and I much prefer running my own class. I have more control over what I'm doing and how people are hearing it, and also all the background and the materials that people get from me are much more in depth than what you would find on that class. So, but it's it was a real good class for absolute real beginners who are trying to figure out how to manage. I think it's still available on the Shift site. I'm glad you took it though, Ritza, because it's how you heard about me, right? Yeah. Any other questions? All right, well then let me talk a little bit about how we're going to work with rocks, crystals, stones. Let's look at the slide about crystals. I just love that slide you made. Yes, see, we're gonna work with these rocks: amethyst, rose quartz, and then clear quartz. We're gonna work with these rocks in this class. It's not an extensive part of it. It's like a unit in the class. So let's look at the stone array example. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna give you a map of the human body, and then we're going to show you where to put different kinds of crystals, and we're going to tell you what they do. And then we're going to tell you how to activate them energetically. So this is kind of a fun thing that we do for sure. Oh, let's look at the layers slide. Yeah, we have a really wonderful just sort of general work. And we continue off of the hygiene class where you learn to clear the 8 layers of the one body. And so we continue working with it. And when you're vending trauma and pain, you're working with the layers. The other thing that we do in this class is I teach the ending protocol, which is this really extraordinary, fantastic thing that slowly evolved, and it has to do with integrating, blending, witnessing the client receive, and then stabilizing them so that the shift is stabilized, then integrating and blending again. And it doesn't sound like much, but it can make an enormous difference in your life. So this is one of the things that I teach in this class. Plus, I also teach you guys how to bring in energies, and I give you a big list of energies, all different types of energies that you work with. And these energies are just really exciting. We do sanctuary, restoration of hope, sense of function, sense of purpose, sense of wisdom. And that is just a couple of them. There's a whole bunch of them. So there's a whole lot that I'm ready to teach you in this class, and I hope that you will consider taking it. Let me see if there's any other questions that have come up. Maybe you could tell me why you're on this call. What is it that piqued your curiosity to come here? Melanie, how come you're here?
Hey, Desda.
Yeah.
I am restarting my massage business after COVID, and I am so happy to just have you as a resource. And I'm thinking I need to refresh, and MedBag hit the note, and I'm like, that's something I haven't taken, and I bet I can use on the table.
Yeah, you sure can. Because, I mean, first of all, there's a professional certification in this class, and I think you've taken the prerequisite classes. Yeah, you did take it. Yeah, so it's really exciting to think that you might come into this class because, first of all, it's a really cool group of people who've already signed up. And I think I think this would refresh you like crazy. It would get you amped up. Plus, you know what? You you end up with a little medicine bag. Excuse me.
I wonder, can you talk about the nuts and bolts? Is this class on site or is it online?
Yes, it is online, 100%. Which is why we can have people like Ritza from another country come to our class.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and Suzanne's in the class, and she's coming from the Midwest. So it's impossible for most people to travel and take the classes, especially something that lasts for 3 months. So it's a 3-month long course. It's 14 different sessions. They're each 3 hours. All the dates are posted on the site, which is yoursacredanatomy.com. And the nuts and bolts are we start at 9 a.m. Pacific. We end at 12 noon Pacific. There will be a little bit of homework in the class. In other words, you have to do sessions with people and report back to us about them. So we have to have forms filled out for permission for me to like read a report that you've written with private information for someone. So there's that, and then there's also other kinds of little forms that we ask you to fill out, feedback from the client, that kind of thing. So those are important, and we don't do a ridiculous number. How many do we do? Just a couple, right? Just 3? It's just 3. It's like 1 a month. It's doable for most people. And then we have also got a dedicated WhatsApp where I'm answering questions all the flipping time. It's great. I love this new tech stuff because I don't have to leave my house to teach, for one thing, which is great. I used to have to carry 7 or 8 big boxes of stuff and space clear a Holiday Inn or something. Let me tell you, that's not a picnic. And then set up an altar, which I then have to break down and set up the next day. I mean, it was just, oy. So this is so much easier. I got my rocks here, Cheryl.
Desta, for Melanie, who has not taken a class since we've moved to an online format, I want to let her know that all of the videos, both of the class, the 3-hour class, as well as videos of the individual concept and procedure of Desta teaching it, are available so you can review it as many times as you need to get it. So it's very different from trying to capture everything she says just in one weekend or one evening. And that has really made it so much more accessible and easy for people to learn.
And we do an
that's
ebook.
A great blessing.
You get an ebook of the whole darn thing, which Cheryl is always busy correcting and fixing and changing. But what's wonderful is that all this is accessible online. And then you have access to it for a significant amount of time. So we don't take it down after 5 minutes. We let you have the videos, and every class is videotaped. And my husband Bobby, who's my partner in crime, gets it edited and up within like at least 48 hours. So you can look at it again. So pretty cool, huh, Melanie? Anyway, it's great. And there's Rita. Hi, Rita. So I'm curious about some of the rest of you. Like, why are you here to find out. What do you want to find out? What do you want to know more about? What's your curiosity about the sacred anatomy? What is it that you've always wanted to know and been, not so sure anybody could ever tell you? Because of my whack on the head, I can. I took the hint for you, guys. The other thing is, like, we like to have fun. That's another thing we do in these classes. Yeah, Cheryl, what were you going to say?
You mentioned ever so briefly about witnessing as a part of the ending protocol.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important for people to understand why that's one of your operating principles. Why is witnessing so important?
Yeah, well, because for transformational healing to occur, it must be witnessed. So we operate under principles. I have a set of principles, and that's one of them, that transformation must be witnessed. So that's why you need somebody to be on the journey with you. You can't just do it all by yourself. And that's what Dr. Gail was for me. She was a witness for me. And various other folks, my acupuncturist was a witness for me, and he wrote a very nice blurb for my book. So there's all these people that witness us in our lives. And most of us go to our healers for witnessing, or sometimes we go to church or synagogue or temple for witnessing, or mosque, obviously. But we don't know how to witness. So we teach you how. We actually teach you how. I am completely obsessed with the how-to, as opposed to, here's something you can do that'll create this result. I'm more interested in, well, how are you actually doing it? I remember going to the UK. I went to the UK to take a class from the head druid of the United Kingdom, and I went to this class, and it was all these people who were doing earthwork. I was something I've always been interested in. So all these people from all over the world were gathered together, and this was like a really high level class. I'm not sure how I got in the class, but I was there. And I was watching how they were working, and they were taking all this negative energy from light poles and stuff they were surrounding in light. They were building these light cages around poles, and they were taking all the negativity into their bodies. And I never met a group of, there were like maybe 20 people there. And of those 20 people, they were either missing teeth, or their wives had cancer, or they were suffering from cancer, or something was going on with them physically. There were people with walkers and canes, and it was a group of young people, and they were all struggling physically. So I went on the break. I went up to Richard and I said, Richard, why are you guys taking this stuff into your bodies? And he said, well, that's how we do it. And I said, why? Why do you do it that way? Why don't you use your energy structure? And he said, what do you mean? And I said, well, this is how I work. And I showed him the edge in like 5 minutes. I showed this like massively hip guy who knew all this stuff, right? He knew all the stuff to do. I showed him how to interact. And he went, oh my God, can you teach everybody how to do this? I said, yeah. So I walked in. It was the first class I ever taught. And they all learned how to go to the edge. BB, I saw your hand up.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Tessa. Well, you asked a couple of questions. So I met you about 9 years ago here in Montreal in one of the conferences.
Oh, yeah. Hi.
I met you and Bobby, and it was so nice. And I've always been in the loop. I haven't been able to because of the time difference. I'm normally in other things and I'm never able to register in any of the courses, but I follow you. It's been kind of like continuously present in these 9 years, going through a lot of stuff. I was just, I raised my hand because I wanted to say, yes, exactly what you were saying about witnesses is you needed to be there so you could be a witness of your own process, understanding what you knew. Otherwise, you would have never realized how good you were doing it, right? So
I never would have known.
you never would have known, right? So you asked the question about what brought us here. Well, first of all, for me, it's the first time that I'm able to connect in any of the free openness that you guys do. So I just needed to hear your vibration. But and then so well, I didn't know because I wasn't able to read all of the things that you need to have before taking the class, but I thought it was very interesting what you said in the video about your childhood and how the medicine bag came along. And for me, in the last few years, in all of my own process, I'm reconnecting strongly this year more with my familiar baggages of I'm from South America, so I'm not from Canada, although I'm half part proud Canadian now. But with my shamanic backgrounds from back home. So I thought it was very interesting and I resonated with that. So I said, well, I'm just gonna see a little bit more what this bag, this magical bag, this beautiful medicine bag that you're bringing in, and I wanted to hear a little bit more of the one of the ladies. What was her beautiful name? Melanie. She has such a nice spirit. So Melanie was, mentioning what's the expression in English? The knocks and
Nuts and bolts.
The nuts and bolts, yeah.
Of that, and then take it from there. So I'm gonna let you. I'm talking too much. I love you guys.
Oh, hey, and now that you remind me of where I met you, I'm so pleased that you're here. And do you ever see Marilyn?
But surely, because they were. Well, this is a parenthesis, people. I'm so sorry, but we're catching it 2 seconds. I haven't seen her too much because after the whole world crisis, the center for a bit.
Yes.
Now it's going up and down. I know there are classes going back, and I keep her in my radar because I'm working very close with Basta. I don't know if you remember Basta Akon. He's one of the members from the center for a while. So we do.
Well, please give them all my love.
I will give them all their love, and through me, I'm sending you all of their love too.
Oh, thank you, VB. I hope to see you in a class someday. Yeah.
Crossing fingers.
That's so awesome. 9 years ago. Wow. Yeah, I spoke at a conference in Montreal and I had a blast. It was a great time. It's the Institute for IIHS, I think, right? IIHS, yeah. For International Humanistic Studies or something like that.
Yeah, science and technology, spirituality, science and technology.
Yeah, that's what the conference was. So I fit into those conferences.
Well, 9 years ago, we were talking about quantum physics and people didn't understand. And we were like, finally.
Finally. Right. And that's where I met, what was his name? Amit Goswami was there. Amit Goswami. Yeah, he's a quantum physicist. Anyway, anybody else got a question or a share? Or how did you end up here? We just have a couple minutes left. So, Nancy, it's good to see you. Love your smile. It's always great to see you.
I met you many years ago when you did a workshop at Palo Alto.
Oh my God, I remember that was so long ago.
And I kept hoping you'd come back. So I've just I've taken your classes, but I don't I don't feel confident that I'm grasping it.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, well, keep keep your toe in. That's a secret. Yeah, that was the East West bookstore, I think, where I spoke there, and then I taught a class the next day.
Yeah, and I've taken your online courses too.
Right. Well, good. I know I recognized you. That's great. Excellent. Well, I'm glad you're here. So I'm going to share with you the readings for this class. We ask you to, almost everybody who's taken this class will have my book, YSA, Your Sacred Anatomy, and there are readings that you need to do if you're in the class. Read book 1, chapters 1 through 4, and book 2, chapters 6, 7, and 11. So there's a technical manual. There's book 1 is the introduction to this work and how it all came about. And book 2 is technical manual walking through the 7 systems and why they matter. Why do you need to know about this? And so these 3 chapters are the ones that people who enroll in Medicine Bag should take. So let's look at the a little more in-depth description of Medicine Bags. So you asked for nuts and bolts. Class begins May 6th, and it's a new perspective on healing and ritual based on the sacred anatomy. And it's a modern approach to ancient traditions. It's an initiation for the contemporary shaman, and it's with me. So you learn how to clear and work with crystal energy generators for healing benefit, to transmute oils, water, and objects imbued with source frequencies. I teach you how to do that, how to find that. You create your own personal medicine kit for your sacred objects, your sacraments and rituals. We talk about building an altar, why it matters, what you need it for. We call it the altering altar. So it's not a religious altar. It's a place where you put your intention and your focus. We learn how to hold space for transformation with procedures such as vending trauma and pain, removing a karmic death weapon, soothing the 9 radiant points, the karmic points, and the powerful sacred anatomy ending protocol for integration, stabilization, witnessing, and blending. We meet and call on this toolbox of specific universal energies used for healing, including elemental energies. I'll teach you the elemental energies. How do you call on them? How do you use them? This has been a long life of study for me. I mean, I've been working on this since I was 14. And I'm in my 70s, kids. So it's been a while. So signature identification, attunement, and removal. This is a big darn deal because we all have signatures from the medications we take. And it's great if you can help the medication bend to you as opposed to you bending to the medicine. Then there's the sacred anatomy fundamentals and energetic ethics, and how to attune to conscious and subconscious interactions. So you're invited to apply for admission if you've had the EDGE training and if you've taken energetic hygiene and learned how to dowse and learned how to do the basic clearing for yourself. You can take this class. And if you haven't done those classes, sign up for them, and I'll tell you how to do that. But Medicine Bag is 57 hours of training, and it takes place in 14 sessions in 3 months. And it's not a little, one-night class. It's a real commitment. It's the first step of the journey towards being a full-on certified SAEM practitioner, and it is a prerequisite and a powerful step towards the 6-month practitioner level 1 training, which will begin in January of 2025. So we have some free events I want to tell you about. The first one is the Practical Spirituality series. It's from 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific, and VB, everything is recorded. If you sign up for the event, you can watch the recording instead of having to tune in at 3 a.m. here. And then May 13th, we have Merging Mania. So it's a class about how everybody in our culture is merging all the time. It's an electromagnetic feature. So I want to invite you to attend and talk about how this happens and why and what we can do about it. So invite your friends to this. Tell them all about it. If you think that this is interesting stuff you want to hear more about, definitely come to this free class. And then on June 27th, we've got the free webinar available, and it's the Intro to the Edge class. So you can come to that for free, and it gets you going. It gets you started. I actually take you to the edge in that class and show you what it feels like. So it's a really fun class to be in, and it's totally free. And then on July 18th this year, we start the Edge class again. It'll be our second one this year. And if you'd like to attend this class, you can sign up online. I'm pretty sure you can sign up for that now. And if you can't, it'll be shortly. So then we have a really fun thing I'm doing. I'm going to do 3 Anatomy Fridays. Now this is a class I used to do live at a local Unity church, and I would have like 30 or 40 people in the class every week. And we're going to do it at 10 a.m. in the morning, and it's just an hour long, 10 to 11 Pacific. And what we're going to do is we're just going to romp through the structure, and I'm going to talk about all the different things, the different parts of the anatomy. And what I usually do at the beginning of the class is say, what do you want to talk about? What are you interested in? What's your favorite question? You've been struggling through this book. Maybe it's put you to sleep a couple of nights. What do you want to know more about? And this is what that class is about. And it, again, is also free. So put on your calendar for June 14, July 19, and August 16, 10 to 11. All right. So those are the exciting things that are happening in Sacred Anatomy world. And I hope you guys will come join me again. I'm very excited that you came and joined me today. And I wish I could see all your faces, because then I can see your beautiful. Hey, can you all come online just so I can see your faces? Because I love to look at people's energy, and I can sort of see who they are that way. That's where we can see if those of you who aren't on video could please turn on your video. Hi, Maria. Thank you. Well, aren't you pretty? Look at all that great energy you have. You have beautiful blue energy around you. Lovely. Lovely to see. Thank you for sharing your face. Okay, well, I guess other folks don't want to do that. So I'm going to turn things over to Cheryl now, and I'm going to say thank you for coming. And it was so good to see you. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys who are interested registering in MedBag. And I'm really excited to hopefully see some of you in the Edge training, which, by the way, is followed by hygiene. So you have Edge and then hygiene. And they kind of go hand in hand. So, all right, I'll see you guys later. Blessings. May your day be beautiful. Blessed with love. Bye-bye.